Lindsay and I work at Canterbury Christ Church University. So today, I know the title says how to engage users with a new resource, but I'm not claiming that this is the way how to do it, but it's more kind of sharing what we've done. And at the end, if there is any advice or ideas that people have, I'm really happy to kind of hear those. That would be fantastic. Right, okay, so hopefully my slides are working. So my role at the moment, I think it's going to be the same after August, but a different title. So I develop student information and digital literacy through workshops and tutorials. So they can be online or they can be in person. I collaborate with academics to make sure they're embedded sessions. Not always, but majority are now, which is good. And I can advise on resources. And I also create guides, including short videos to promote and demonstrate the resources that we kind of host and we want students to use. So that's kind of a little background on me. So what we're going to do in this lightning talk is have a look at the context. So that would be about the resource that I was promoting with my colleagues, and that's the BFI Player. So I support creative arts and industries students and courses. So that can give you a little bit of background there. And one of them is film production. So next we'll have a look at what we actually did. And then after that, we're going to have a look at obstacles and how we overcame them or tried to overcome them. Then we'll have a look at lessons learned. And then the last slide is some kind of future plans, some ideas to kind of take forward for me anyway. But hopefully, they'll be resonate with you and perhaps you'll be able to apply things or, as I said before, make suggestions as well that I can kind of take on. Okay, so the context. So the school, Scandi we call it, they created last year, they secured a partnership with BFI Player. Well, no, sorry, with the BFI. And so it's called the BFI Partner Status. And it's quite a kind of useful thing really to promote on the website, all related to their courses. So their students, if they see that, then it's a really good kind of sign. It's an added attraction for the course. Part of it is access to the BFI Player, and it was agreed that the library would host that because it kind of makes sense because that's where we get all our resources, or we encourage students to access them through library search. So also we'd be creating the user guides, that sort of guidance for the students as well. So just for a little bit of guidance, so it gives university-wide access to students and staff at reduced rate. So currently, a subscription per person would be £26 that we would pay, but the public rate is about £69. So it's really good. They can access films. It doesn't have to just be film students either, so it's university-wide. They also get complementary activities. So they've had a couple of masterclass online sessions as well. So it's a really good thing for the school, as well as having this resource. So the academic that I work with on that particular course is called Jane Milton. And we ran a project that kind of developed as we went. And the idea was to increase engagement with this resource and also to get more signups. Because as I'm sure most of you know, it often relies on statistics, whether things get renewed. And obviously we want them to use the resource. It's a fantastic thing to have. Okay, so what we did, so there's a lot of text here, but I'll kind of highlight it. So I created an online guide and a video embedded on that on the library web pages. I can show you that in a moment. So it was a last minute request before the start of the academic year, so it was quite a tense time, as you could imagine, but I did that. So our digital academic developer was basically a learning technologist. We got approval, and then they embedded the link to that resource as a separate thing within Blackboard, so that the students on their main course level could access it. And our library user experience team, so they're the team within the library who have most kind of face-to-face in the building with students, stock rotation, all those kind of things, as well as promotion, kind of like, around the building. So some members of those really helped me, and they designed posters, leaflets, using the material that BFI supply. So they give you packages of kind of like images that you can use, as well as updates about new kind of collections that they're offering. So I also shared the resource as well in workshops and tutorials. It wasn't particularly embedded as much as I'd like. It was more of a kind of show and tell. We have this, so that's, it was still promoting it, so it was something. And we also ran 2 stands. So it was on one day, and we had in the library and also in the student cafe on campus. So just to give you an idea, I don't know if you've been to Canterbury Christ Church, but we have a main campus, and then the library is kind of 8 minutes walk away on the ring road. So it's not right next to it. So we basically had 2 stands in either location. So I was in the library and Jane was in the student cafe, and we each had a student ambassador there as well. And so we had some slides, we had kind of marketing material, as well as a laptop or tablet to actually demo the resource and show them that too. And those slides are still appearing on campus, I've noticed, as I've been kind of going there, like, oh, so they're still being promoted, which is really good. And I'll show you those in a minute as well, so you can see what they look like. So after those kind of events, we had 274 active users. So 81 had signed up after that, kind of the stands that we did. This week we checked again, and now we've got 338 signups. So I know it does sound quite small compared to really big institutions, but for us, it is quite a challenge sometimes to engage and get the message out there, and then get people to actually sign up to things. So it's on the increase. So this is a good thing. Okay, so there's a video there, but I'll move from that. That was the video that I created, which is embedded on the guide. So here's just some images from the library stand. And there's a link there if you really want to later, when you get the slides. You can see my impromptu Instagram reel, which I didn't know I was going to be doing. And basically there was a bit of there was illness, and then the student ambassador didn't actually want to talk to the camera, so I had to do it on the spot, which is fine. But yeah, so that's there, and that's a picture of our actual stand as well, and you can see the slides and the material on the desk there. So yeah, so the top ones here are snippets from the slides. So we had QR codes. As I said, we used the BFI Player material, but other things that we made ourselves, that was using Adobe Express. So we have an account through the institution, but if you don't have that, you can use things like Canva, which are freely available, and they're quite easy to use, I would say. After a little bit of playing around with them, that's good. In the bottom there, you can see it was like a Toblerone leaflet that Vicky from our user experience designed. So you can kind of stick it together, and then it will stand on the desk, which is really nice. But as you can see, we didn't get funding. There was no kind of central funding for all this marketing. It was all really made from the ground up by us. Yeah, there's a screen on campus, and there's the blog post you can see there that our Vicky wrote as well. So the obstacles. Right, so there were lots of delays in getting approval. So this was approval for student funding to have the students on those stands, and this is all through the school. Approval for getting a space in the cafe. The student union wanted to charge us because they thought we were selling something to students. Adding the links to the blackboards, even things like that. So it took time, but the key way that was overcome was having Jane in the school advocating for it. If I didn't have that counterpart, you know, a lot of this I don't think could have happened, not the stuff actually on campus. Our library space, that the stand I showed earlier, was a lovely picture, but actually it was under the stairs. So the prime spot had been taken, we were put under the stairs, which was tricky because people would just walk past and they could ignore you when you kind of heckled them. So what we had to do was actually go out literally and kind of actually block people's path, but in a nice way, in a kind way, and talk to them. So it was fun though in the end. Social media, I've kind of said about that. And that pressure again of making the video a busy time for us with the start of the year. Basically, I tried to do a shortcut looking at other people's videos of universities, and I copied a link which is a bit wrong, which took me more time because I had to re-edit. And also we did have a student blog post in the running. However, because of the timing, it clashed with their assignments. His computer broke. He was also ill, so he couldn't do it in the end. Yeah, these things happen. So the lessons learned. We are currently, and also we were going through a university-wide redesign curriculum, you know, professional services, everything. So it was challenging time. However, in a way, the lack of funding in this project, which we were all doing amongst ourselves, was actually quite fun because, for example, like Vicky, she could run with doing the design and doing social media. So actually we did, it was a good escape, really. It was quite a fun thing to do, creative thing to do. Yeah, request space for stands early on and try to enlist an academic to help push for support, especially on, you know, with the central or the school. and think strategically about your target audience. So in the library, we have had a downturn in footfall since lockdown. And actually at this time with the stand, there were people going through, but perhaps it wasn't as many as we'd like. So we were thinking we could piggyback on events next time to try and, catch more people. Okay, so future plans. Embed the resource in workshops through activities rather than just, oh, we have this and show and tell. I'd like it to be more embedded and purposeful. Perhaps have we're going to do this actually, just a stand without people, but a screen where it's going to promote the resource as people pass by in the library. Also record impact. I know we need to do this, but I tried to make a little a little kind of table, and yeah, it didn't quite work. It wasn't accurate figures. So that's something to think about. We've also got the thing where our current users, at the start of the academic year, they'll need to re-register. So that might be a challenge with some of our users to actually get them to do that. So that'll be not only getting new signups, but also doing that. And also consider how we're going to engage, because we're becoming part of a bigger school, lots and lots of different subjects together. So I'm wondering if that will affect the sense of, creative arts and industries, as it has been its own like unit. So that's something to think about as well. Is that the last? Yeah, my last slide is a thank you. Yeah, so I don't know if I rushed too fast.
Thank you. And my timer is just going off because you have taken exactly the right amount of time. So thank you very much for a very well-timed talk.